Axtell, our first guest who is with DBA. We all know Paul. And congratulations, Paul, on President's Award this year.
Thanks.
How do you feel?
Excited. You've all heard the saying that it's easy to stand tall when you're on the shoulders of giants, and that's truly the case here. The drill shaft committee's the invigorated group, and they do a lot of work, so it's easy to look good with them behind us, and the DFI staff. They make things easy too. So it's a great recognition. I'm honored to receive it, but really it's a recognition of everybody that's working behind the scenes.
It's not just because of the drill shaft committee work. It's the stuff that you did with Super Pile 2 times, kind of sharing it, both the virtual and in person. So you a little bit more. Don't sell yourself short there, Paul.
Well, again, that's where the DFI staff comes in. I mean, so Lyle Simons and I kind of got the recognition, but really it's the staff does all the work. And so we're just kind of the face piece for it. We get the accolade, but the real work is done with the DFI staff.
He is very humble.
Yeah.
Right, man?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Because DFI staff doesn't find all the speakers and line them up and go through all the abstracts and all the work that goes into it. So
The speakers do their part too, though. So
they do. Absolutely.
and he is giving credit to you, man.
Not really, because
Yes.
I came on too late for Super Pile.
I don't think so. I mean, I think, you've been in the industry long enough, right, Paul? Correct me if I'm wrong. He's been in the industry for a very long time and he knows a lot of people. And it was just, it's more like a Lego piece that was missing and we just put it in that one place. And it fit perfectly. That's what I feel.
Sure.
Having Matt with us.
And having Super Pile in St. Louis was a home game for him too, which helps a lot too.
Yep. That did help.
So Matt and I, we did cross paths professionally before he was a DFI employee, and so we knew each other before all this started. It's been a good relationship.
Well,
Let's continue.
15 years probably. Thereabouts, all the way back to that 35W bridge.
Wow. So switching gears a little bit, tell us what is life at DBA?
Well,
What do you like the most?
the thing I like the most is completing projects. So I love being on the job sites. I'm fortunate to be, if you want to call it maybe a senior level engineer that still gets to spend a lot of time on the barge watching drill shaft construction. I love that aspect of the job. It's very interesting to me to see designs come to fruition. I love working with the contractors, the laborers on site. Those are my kind of folks. And I just enjoy the banter back and forth on job site. I love it a lot. At DBA, we try and be committed to being lifelong learners. And so that's why we're heavily engaged in industry organizations like the DFI. We want people to have a passion of learning new things, pushing the comfort level, not knowing your limits till you find them. So it's been a great fit. We're still a very small, dynamic company. And it's been great. Really enjoy it.
Yeah.
You guys are all spread out across the country, though. Tell us a little bit about how that works for you, how you've maybe changed that over the last few years with going more virtual on things. And
Sure. So most of us are spread out. We do have a brick and mortar office in Knoxville, Tennessee, where there's 8 engineers. But really, our roots are remote. So when everyone was working from home during the pandemic, for us, that was just business as usual. Really no change at all. If it weren't for our need to have a place to say onboard new graduates, we probably may not have an office. But really, we recognize that to grow or to mature, to bring on new employees, it's very difficult to do that in a remote fashion. And so it's nice to have an office where we can have sort of the synergy of people working together and socializing, learning, mentoring. That's a lot easier to do in person than it is across a Teams page. But I've been with DBA for 15 years or so now, and but the working virtually, I don't know why more folks don't do it, to be quite honest with you. For us, it's been seamless. It takes the right personalities, and it takes a concentrated effort to stay in touch, to have that social connection.
Right.
But with the webcams these days are fantastic. So
Yeah, exactly.
I talk to folks in our office all the time, at different offices all the time. I feel like we don't miss a beat.
Yeah. And you just mentioned something very interesting. I think the last 2 years during COVID, of course, we are out of COVID now, but during COVID, there were a lot of companies that were looking for people and they hire new people. And you just spoke about the same thing. And, it's not easy to be remote when you start with a company and don't know anyone, and you have to build yourself, build relationship, and you don't know what you're doing. Are you accountable? Things like that. So Was there anything that DDA did or you did that was helpful to manage that group of people who just started?
Yeah, that's a good question. So certainly with a company as small as ours and trusting folks to work remotely, it comes down to trust. We have to pick the right people. I mean, all we have is our culture and our reputation. If either of those get damaged, then we've got a real issue. So it starts with identifying the right people that can, they can spread their wings and fly in that sort of unbound opportunity. And when we started the company, he was very trusting. But he was also very selective in the individuals that he recruited. But he gave you all the rope you needed to hang yourself. But the joke is that when Dan showed up on your job site, something real bad had happened. So, but he gave us as much opportunity as we were willing to take. And so that's sort of entrepreneurial spirit. That's what we're looking for in the people we try and hire. The mentoring part is still a challenge.
Yes.
We don't have a silver bullet to how to tackle that just yet. We do our best. We're open and honest with folks and try and communicate clearly with our people. But really the mentoring remotely is the challenge that we haven't solved just yet.
Yeah. So switching gears again, you've been chair of Drill Shafts for a very long time. And I think this year, I don't know if it was because of after COVID, we had Las Vegas conference that was a super hit. But at the same time, we also had conversations in our leadership meeting yesterday that, technical committee meetings went great this time, and we had a lot of people in the room, and we had younger folks in the room. How much of a change do you see from when you started, being a chair and now? And what do you like about it?
The change has been night and day. So I started in 2013 as the chairperson. I think it was in Phoenix or Scottsdale, wherever the conference was. We had maybe 6 or 8 people in the room. An agenda that I had seen over and over again with nothing ever moving. It's the same agenda we see year after year after year, but very little movement. And I truly believe that the organization's commitment to funding the committee project fund absolutely transformed the Drill Shaft Committee, and I think several others almost overnight. We were very successful writing proposals and getting awarded some very interesting topics. I think we've delivered on all of them. Matt, we're in the process of it.
Yeah, there might be one out there at this point, but yeah, a lot.
Yeah. But really, I think that initiative, that foresight that DFI had to reinvigorate the committees, they knocked it out of the park. That, in my opinion, has what's changed the dynamic. The rooms now are full. We have 60 some odd members in the Drill Shaft Committee, and in the room there's probably 80 or 90 people, and so it's great. It makes it easy to be the committee chairperson when there's energy, for sure. Now it's the same 8 or 10 people doing most of the heavy lifting, but that's okay too. As long as other people have a forum and an avenue to be able to share their input, all are welcome.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we had this discussion again, active members versus non-active members, and what non-active members get out of it. And there are times when non-active members break the barriers.
Yeah, you never know when that non-active member is going to become an active member. For whatever project that comes up or what have you. Maybe they decide, I can do what Paul does.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like we're writing letters by hand and sending them to the 60 different people, and only 50 of them are non-active. Say, I mean, it's an email. It's
everyone wants to know. Yeah.
And there's no harm in having. If it's a big group.
Yeah.
They choose not to do anything with the information, that's okay, but it's easy enough to disseminate it to all the people, whether they're active or non-active. So
yeah.
What's the downside of having it? I don't see the downside of it.
None. None. To me, it's the same thing. None. Because you never know when that person is going to take part in it. And everybody joins DFI for different reasons. Some are to actively engage, some they're just here to learn and absorb the knowledge from people like Paul that have the knowledge to share and are willing to share it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and congratulations for going to be an, empty nester soon.
Maybe.
Of course, you always talked about like, your dinosaur when it comes to social media, but I follow your wife, Katie,
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
on Instagram, and
Katie and I are going to have a chat when we,
you're not having a chat with Katie. So, what I wanted to talk about is like, it's not easy to have the job that you're having and your involvement in the industry and also raising 3 kids, wonderful kids. Tell us how it is, and you're going to be an empty nester. And Matt also has a question for you with respect to that. He will come to that in just a bit. So tell us about it, like, how it is to raise 3 kids and what is your best part about it? What do you love about it? What you don't love about it? And, how it is going to be for future for you and Katie.
Katie, if you're listening, turn off now.
well, I mean, what do you love about it? Of course, it's just the family dynamic. I mean, we're a pretty close knit group. We have supper together every night when I'm in town. I mean, I do travel for work, but I look forward to when we sit around the supper table, share our experiences from the day. My kids have a freshman in college and 2 juniors in high school. Feels like just 2 weeks ago they were, when the twins came and PJ was only not quite 2 years old yet. We had our hands full for sure. And people ask, "Oh, how did you survive that?" Well, I don't even remember I don't remember anything negative about it. All you remember is the fun parts, right? And the good stuff. So, you cherish the memories. It's been great. Katie's been a rock. I mean, certainly it's a team effort. She's awesome. She does great work. Couldn't do it without her, of course.
And for listeners, next time you see Paul and Katie together or separately, you have to ask them about their dancing skills. They are amazing dancers.
Sometimes that takes bourbon to start that flame, but and something we're willing to do that too. So no, it's great. It goes quick. That's all I can say. They just yesterday they were infants, and tomorrow they're going to be gone. So that's all you can do as a parent is hopefully train them up and get them out, but really see what they become, see how they blossom. That's the real truth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So are you and Katie starting to talk about what's next? What you're going to be doing with all your time? I mean, what, another 10 hours a week for DFI are we talking about here? I mean, I know you want to go, I know you want to go hiking and biking and all that stuff, but I mean, come on, you can only do so much of that before the body just says,
enough more, huh? Yeah, we've talked a little bit about what we want to do. There's probably some camping on the horizon for us. I'm a pretty avid baseball coach. I coached all my kids. I could see myself taking on another youth baseball team. I really enjoy that stuff. If I can keep the parents out of the way.
right? Yeah, parents are great. When they open their mouths.
Yeah, right. When they write the checks, they're awesome.
They're fantastic. Yeah.
So I could. I think we've got a long list of things to fill our time. Most of it's recreation. Probably some volunteer work here and there.
ATV driving.
Well, we tried that once, and once was enough for us. If you saw it on social media, yeah, that's
I'm too much stalking him, I think.
Apparently. Well, I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
I'm lucky you can't stalk me too.
It's fun. So Katie does post things on social media and whatnot. People come up and ask, how was your vacation? Looked awesome. Like,
how do you know? So you just spoke about eating supper whenever you're home together. Do you like to cook? Are you a cook?
I cook a little bit. Katie certainly does most of the work in the kitchen. I'll grill every now and again, but she takes most of that burden on. Thanks, Katie.
When you get a chance to cook, what do you cook? Grilling, you said?
Yeah, I do. I'll smoke salmon. Smoke salmon out on the grill, or we eat a lot of seafood, which is odd. Of course, being in the Midwest, but we really enjoy seafood. So anything we can put on the grill is kind of my department. All the other stuff is her department. She's willing to do it, and she does a great job with it. I'm a lucky guy.
Are you a hunter too?
I do hunt. Yeah, I enjoy the outdoors. Like it a lot, actually.
Tell us if you have a crazy story about your hunting.
I've got lots of stories about.
I'd say pick one.
Pick one, yes, pick one.
Let's think about this for a second. Well, before I get there, I do have to identify the person that scheduled the DFI conference next year in Seattle on opening day of duck season. That's gonna be a challenge. We're gonna have a serious come to Jesus talk about that. But hunting stories. let's see.
At least it wasn't Halloween. We're getting that
Well,
too.
yeah, I didn't want to break this, but thank you for that. I'm not the bad person anymore, so.
Well, you can go dress as a hunter. We'll call ourselves duck hunters when we're in Seattle.
We're gonna have to embrace this Halloween theme. I mean, yeah, we're going with it. So
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. So yes, crazy story about hunting, good or bad, whatever you want to share.
Let's think about this for a second. So
which one's PG rated?
that's the trick. I'll take it back. So the part of my love for hunting is it's been a family affair. So I'm the youngest of six boys. So I've got 5 siblings that are boys and one sister. My old man kind of races hunting, and so when we were fortunate enough to be on the draw, like if he'd pick whoever's turn it was, you get 2 kids to go with you, and all of us children would vie for the opportunity to be that person to make the cut and go hunting. And so just the bond with your old man, your dad,
Yeah.
learning a skill, spending time with them. Something always went wrong. The waiters leaked, or I lost my gloves, or you name it, something always went wrong. And so just seeing the way my dad would handle stress, sometimes well, sometimes not so well.
Where the love of bourbon came in.
But just I guess the bond, looking at a life skill and the bond between father and son and my siblings. Hopefully I pass that on to my boys too. We go together, and it's a special time.
Yes, yes. So I think we've come to end of this talk. But before we let you go, I want to ask you, when we say DFI, what comes to your mind? First thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah, the people, for sure. Absolutely, the people.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, what I love this is why I'm not an online person or a virtual person. The camaraderie with the competitors as well as clients, we're all friends here, and I cherish that opportunity to interact with people.
Very good.
100 on 100. Thank you so much for that answer. We love that answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you, Paul. Thank you for chatting with us, and nice to see you, and say hello to Kathy and your kids.
I will. Thank you, Lucky. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So we have Pascale Leonard here.
Good morning.
Good morning. I got some French Canadians.
Yeah.
French Canadians, and she's with Double Star Drilling.
Yep.
And I got to meet Pascale this year in May. I can't believe I've only known her for like 5 months now, but I feel like I've known her for longer time.
That's true, right?
And as soon as we met, we clicked
Hit it
like
off.
this, hit it off.
I was talking with Pascale last night, not knowing I'd be talking with you again this morning. I'm happy to be talking with you this morning and hearing about how you connected so quickly, and jumped right in with applying for the limited bid competition.
Right. Yeah.
Congratulations for winning the grant.
Thank you.
So we want to talk about a little bit about your entry into this industry.
Okay.
So I've heard the story, but I want the listeners to hear what inspires you and how did you enter this industry?
All right. So where did it start? It started in high school. When we had the faculties from the different departments from the universities come by and kind of give their pitch, try to get a bunch of students to come join their departments. And the engineering department stopped by, and I figured, you know what? This is a pretty good job. Like, if I'm an engineer, like I'm good at math, I'm good at sciences, like it only makes sense. It seems to be like a stable job. At the time when you're 18 years old, that's basically all you're thinking about. Little did I know, or little did I realize then, that it was going to be a job that challenged me every day. That would keep me stimulated. It would be a lifelong learning journey, and that's what's important to me now. Right, as soon as I graduated and I started working, I'm like, okay, actually, stability of a job or good paying job, that's not really what's important to me. On a daily basis, I need to be challenged. As you know, I like to be challenged. So I realized this was really like the industry for me, and I absolutely love what I do. So I started out in general earthworks, civil engineering, and but not on the design side, but more on the contract side. So I started out as a project coordinator for construction contracting in Edmonton, Alberta. And it just wasn't ticking all my boxes. I was almost like doubting myself on some days, like maybe this isn't the route for me. But I was also helping with the development of the estimating softwares and stuff within the company. And I had helped out with the shoring and piling department's estimating software. And so when the PM moved on to a different company who was kind of running that department, they looked at me and they said, well, develop the whole software. Can you estimate piling now? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not going to say no. I can give it a try. I'll give anything a try. If there's anything that you learn in
How
engineering,
many times can I screw up before I, yeah, right?
exactly. A lot of mistakes along the way, but I learn as I go, and I'm afraid of making mistakes. Therefore, when I do make them, it really registers.
Yes.
Oh, I learned the hard way so many times.
As we all do, as we all
We
do.
all do, yeah.
So I was like, sure, I'll give it a shot. And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is definitely where I should be. I'm using what I'm learning in school. As far as, you know, like I did that. I majored in structural and transportation. Not geotechnical, unfortunately, which I wish I had now, but I've learned so much on the job now.
Well, you being you, if you don't know Pascale, she can do anything. She can do anything. And she is definitely, she says she's going to do something, she will do that.
That's right. I'm
Definitely
my
on
word.
your word.
Yeah.
I know
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So this is your first DFI conference, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Oh, mention that. As soon as I saw her, she was on the panel as with me
Right.
in SMIC conference. And I was like, why is she not applied? She has to apply and she will win. You won't believe me. This is May 14th. The deadline for applications was May 16th.
Mhm.
I told her on
Yeah,
the
she told
14th.
me that, she told me the story, and your comment about when she says she'll do something, she'll do it.
Do it.
I mean, that, you gotta tell that story. Really, it's a great example of what Lucky's saying.
So I got to know Lucky over the course of a few days, and near the end of the conference, you know, she's like, "Pascale, you must apply for this grant." So I know you're gonna get it. Like you're a perfect candidate for it. You need to apply. You must. You must. You must. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Like, I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot. What does it do? And she says, oh, in 2 days. You need. I was like, okay, what do I need to do for it? You need to write an essay. You need to get a recommendation letter. I'm like, okay, well, it's Saturday afternoon right now. This is due on Monday morning. And I'm flying home tomorrow. So I was like, I'll just do it on my flight and it'll be fine. So I get to the airport, flights are delayed and canceled. So like I never really have the opportunity to take my laptop out of my bag. And I'm kind of just like, when am I going to get this done? Our flight got canceled and we ended up back and forth in the hotel. And then finally I get on the flight and I type it all up. I call my boss. I'm like, I need a favor.
On Sunday, you called
On
your boss.
Sunday, you called the boss.
And I got it in for Monday morning and I'm really
That's
glad that I did.
history. That's history.
Yeah.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. A lot of people who have not spoken to Pascale does not know this, but she's a world traveler.
Mhm.
And there is one story that I really want her to share, which is your time in India. You know,
Nepal.
I'm sorry, Nepal.
Nepal.
Time, we are neighbors, so I always think Nepal as India.
Yes.
Sorry, it's like us with Canada. We-
Canada,
Canada,
right?
dude, just-
Canada is US, yeah, yeah. So I wanted to share that story because it shows the resilience that we all need and we all go through. You don't recognize, and after going through that hard time, when you come out, you're a new person, and how amazing that is. We want you to share that story.
Okay. So back in 2019, I left during Christmas break for a bit of a little journey. I told my boss, or asked my boss for some time off, and he said, okay, that's fine. I booked my flight out. I never booked my return flight. I was like, oh, I'm going for the slow season. I'll be gone for maybe 4 weeks. Turned out to be 8 weeks. We all worked it out. It was fine. But during that time, I went to Nepal, and I wanted to challenge. I love challenging myself, as I
Right.
mentioned.
Yeah.
So first, I wanted to challenge myself physically. So I did the Everest Base Camp hike. So it was a 12-day hike through the Himalayas in the dead of winter. So it was during the slow season. And I realize now why it's slow season. Very, very cold. And there's lack of basic amenities on your way up, right? And the higher you get up in altitude, less vegetation there is. You don't burn wood anymore. There's no wood to burn. So you actually end up burning yak feces. It's a very interesting smell, but at the end of the day, it's a smell that you crave when you're craving a bit of heat, right?
Warmth.
Like, oh, give me that yak feces. So after that, I wanted to challenge myself mentally. So I signed up for the Vipassana meditation retreat. It's a silent retreat. So it's 10 days of silence. And you meditate for 10.5 hours a day. During those 10 days, you're not allowed any electronics, no reading, no writing, no communicating with anybody, no eye contact either, no exercise, no yoga, no like, they didn't want you to stretch or anything. They wanted you to really be in solitary confinement, like in your mind.
Wow. Okay.
So
Can you imagine that?
No, no.
and they do this kind of all over the world, but I was like, Nepal is probably like a really good place to do it. I mean, it's near the Mecca of Buddhism, and I'd also
Buddhism,
gone up to Tibet and visited the Palapas,
Yes,
which is like the Mecca
Yes.
Of Buddhism.
Buddhism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I was very into it, and I was like, let's give it a shot. And so, like I said, I always start things, and I intend on finishing them always. It's not a question of if I'm going to finish it, but how I'm going to finish it. So I started it out, and there's essentially 100 people that are allowed to join at any given time, 50 women and 50 men. And we both live in separate living quarters, but we all congregate in one room, in one meditation hall to meditate for 10.5 hours a day. And you're assigned a cushion. That is your cushion for the next 10 days. That's where you will be sitting and be alone with your thoughts for a long time, which is a scary thought for a lot of people. So I did it, and I sat there for 10 days, and I discovered a lot about myself. But the most profound experience, and this is what I was kind of telling Lucky about the other day, the most profound lesson that I learned is that I'm not my thoughts. So as I sat there, I knew that myself deep inside, I needed to finish. I wanted to be there. I wanted to finish. I wanted to experience this. But it was very, very interesting when I had no distractions around me, how loud my thoughts were in my mind. So they were coming up with so many excuses, right? I don't need to be here. You don't even meditate. Like you're not going to keep practicing when you get home. Like they're saying, like as soon as you get home, we want to meditate an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening. You don't have time for that. Like let's not and say we did. You know, you're supposed to go to Thailand after this. Let's go to Thailand instead. So I realized that my ego was very, very loud, and my ego hates discomfort, and it was trying so hard to convince me not to be there anymore. And so that was the most profound lesson that I got from that. And now I take those lessons with me. Not that I meditate on a daily basis, but I do practice, especially when I'm feeling a little stressed or anxious. It helps so much.
so much.
Oh, I cannot recommend meditation enough. But the most profound lesson that I learned and that I took with me is to not listen to my thoughts.
Sure. Yeah.
To search a little deeper down and figure out what I really want inside, not what my ego is telling me, because my ego just wants me to be comfortable.
Makes sense.
Oh, so powerful.
Still powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, so powerful. I've been thinking about, every time I talk to her about something life-changing experience she talks about, I want to do something like this too. I will be reaching out to you.
Yeah,
there is-
the links.
yeah, we don't have time. We're running out of time, but there is another story that we really have to get her to talk about in the future. But before we let you go, if you have an advice for younger generation, people like you, what would you want to tell them?
Well, I mean, don't listen to your thoughts. I mean, that's deep inside you.
Hardest thing to do. Yeah.
Get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. People like me, women who are trying to get into the industry, my recipe for success is always have a good sense of humor and a thick skin. And if you have those two, then you're going to survive in this industry. Don't take things too personally, and make sure you're having fun.
Yes.
At the end of the day, like make sure you're happy.
It's not fun. It's hard to do, right?
If it's not fun, then what's the point?
Yes.
Yeah.
And follow your dreams just like Pascale.
Yeah.
Find your dreams, change your dreams, follow your dreams. Pascale, it was a wonderful pleasure to spend time with you and then interview you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good chatting to you. Hi, how's it going? Come in.
Franki, it's been a while, Franki.
know.
Right?
Yes.
When's the last time we saw each other? So before we start that, Franki is with Ape. We have known him for a very long time, and they are very strong supporters of DFI.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So when was the last time you saw each other?
Um,
Can't remember.
we saw each other at the Mexico City Symposium of the Foundations.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
May, not
Yes.
too long ago. Oh my
Yes.
God.
When you met Pascale?
When I met Pascale, yes,
That's where I met her as well. So
yes, yes.
it was a very, very nice congress, I would say. You know, we had a very pleasant experience watching the Women's in the Foundation's chat, which was one of I would say one of the best presentations I've seen so far in the DFI. So
Awesome.
that was pretty amazing. You girls did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so interesting that you say that because Mariana Gomez, that we all know, you know, who is the champion of that group, was very hesitant. She didn't know, like, you know, when we open up the, you know, room for discussion, she didn't know how it would be
Questions, yeah.
perceived and how much would we get back. But
Yeah.
Frankie, you were there in the room.
Yeah, it was
You-
amazing.
Yeah, and
The
the
energy was
energy,
amazing.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, it was amazing.
And all the questions and answers that we got for what we were discussing was amazing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I think there was a breakthrough there. You know,
There was a
with
breakthrough.
the culture itself, because my wife always complains about that when we go in meetings with some of the customers. They tend to ignore her questions or not give her much attention when we're having the meetings and stuff. And I think you know, within the culture, sometimes that's embedded in there, you know, that
Mhm.
the men, you know, have more importance than the women and things like that. And that was like something that you guys managed to, you know, break, you know, and show people that you girls can do as much as men, you know, and more.
More.
And even more.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
I agree. Yeah, even more. And you've shown it, you know, through these conferences, because you girls are like taking over and the whole organization, you know,
Yeah, yep.
and it flows so well. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
It's becoming every show is better.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So I want to switch gears a little bit.
yeah.
I want to ask you, Ape has been a very long-term supporter of DFI, right? So what do you like about DFI that you come back and back and back? And that is number one question. And is there anything that DFI can do more for manufacturers and suppliers, you know, to help you propel in the industry?
Okay, great questions. Thank you. I would say that the reason why we keep coming back is because we have been supported for, you know, over 20 years, I think, and it really helps us, you know, put our brand out there, you know, and get to meet the customers face to face and have good interactions with them and talk about the jobs that we work together with them, and also listen to their ideas and go see some of the presentations, learn more about the technical part of things and how we can improve our equipment to meet the demands of the industry.
Mhm.
And also, you know, just camaraderie, you know, having becoming part of the Deep Foundation's
Yes.
family that you guys are building.
Yes.
That's really something that I want to do more is integrate with you guys to be part of that family and continue growing the family that is the DFI, you know.
Great.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how it feels. That's how it feels right now. It feels like a big family. So
Awesome.
You're
Been a
absolutely
couple
correct.
coming back, you know.
Been a couple times since
Absolutely
we
correct.
joined DFI staff earlier this year. I've heard that family word a few times this year.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fun to hear.
And I think I have to agree with Frankie at all the levels that he was talking about. I think that's how it is for me. DFI is family for me.
Yeah.
And anything and everything that I do it with care.
Yeah.
Passion, because it's my family.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
all taking over them. Absolutely.
right,
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
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 So on to the second part of Lucky's question, you know,
Yeah.
what more can we do for you?
Well, that's a great question. You know, I like something that that was done by the PDCA recently in March, where we did like a school, you
Mhm.
know,
Yep.
hands-on school, you know, with the equipment. And that is something that I think the DFI could also at some point in the future do is like do like a demo of equipment for the geotechnical engineers and do like live demonstrations of the equipment in on the field.
Yeah.
And that is something that is very hands-on and people get to learn a lot from that experience. We do presentations
Right.
as well
Right. Yep.
as well as demonstrations,
Mhm.
and that can be done in a contractor's yard.
So
We
a
can
little
all
bit of
bring
what we do with the
equipment.
helical pile trade show seminar, right?
Road
Yeah.
testing
Yep.
and driving piles and drilling and doing things with our equipment, because it's always so much more enriching when you can see the equipment
Yeah,
working
yeah.
and different applications and different technologies working. And maybe that would be something that DFI can also do. So
It's a very
Yeah, no, it is. And we've been starting to talk about it. They mentioned the helical pile trade
Yeah,
show.
that
It's,
was awesome. Yeah,
that's
really
been
enjoyed
that's been
that.
growing. It's been great. We get awesome feedback from it.
Yeah,
We heard a lot of good things out of the PDCA event. And so
Yeah.
we've been talking with them about,
Mhm.
you know, yeah, let how can we help you do that again
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
and get
I
involved
forgot
in it. But
you guys did the helical part,
Helical
right?
piles
Yeah.
recently
Yeah.
in the city, right?
Kansas City in April.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
April.
It's great. It's a good event. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you and I first met.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So following to that conversation, I want to ask you, so I know you spoke about like, you know, how we can do this kind of course, and you also talked about like contractors yard, right? Addition to that, I know Ape works with a lot of engineering community, right? A lot of engineering community and your softwares that you have
That's right.
developed
Yes.
for pipe testing and, you know, weed analysis and everything else
Yeah.
is one of the best. And you also have very good customer service that I know.
Thank you.
So with that, would you be interested if DFI decides to put a course together? Would you be interested in bringing some of your design engineering friends
Yeah.
in the community and maybe have a learning session of more, you know, what it means for design engineers to adapt something like what you're offering as a service?
Yeah.
And how that actually complements the project and how would that optimizes and what means to learning process of being a design engineer learning and also understanding the concepts of installation and the hammers and how they both have to work together before it is implemented in the field. What do you think about that idea?
That's a great idea. I can say, Lucky, that's a great idea, and we would love to participate in that event. You know, in that because that's like preparing the field for doing the work. You know, preparing, making a plan and then coming up with a good plan of what we're gonna do before we execute it. So
Let's
we
design
definitely
something that
love
actually
that.
can be installed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's decide something. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah,
I
let's
mean,
do that. Yeah.
yeah, without seeing, having that, you know, far vision of, you know, what are the things that may go wrong? What are the things that may go good?
Yep.
And if it's going wrong, like how do we prevent that going wrong? And
That's
what
right.
are the steps you have to take?
What are the
Yeah,
tips and tricks?
yeah, tips and
Yeah.
tricks.
I,
and-
I have a huge challenge right now that I've been trying to work with some of the guys like Ryan from File Dynamics, and
Mhm.
we're looking to measure the vibrations of the vibratory hammer and some way correlate that to the loading capacity of the
The
piles,
resistance.
the resistance of the piles, you know, so that we can have a database, just like the impact hammers have a database of this many blows equals this
Yeah, right,
actual
right.
loading, you know, and you know, we need a breakthrough in that in that in the vibratory hammer world. We need a breakthrough
Yeah.
and that requires a lot of research and a lot of geotechnical input. So we're looking to work together with several other companies to come up with that database so we can correlate, you know, vibration, resistance, and loads with vibro hammers and see how we can do that, you know, and that's a big mission we're planning to, we want to accomplish in the future. So
Yeah.
hopefully that can be
how we can put another leg into this or arm into this. You know, research, he said, right?
Yep.
Professors and universities are a big part of this.
Absolutely.
So including professors, universities into this
Yep.
and
Yep.
you know,
Getting
other-
them to these
get-
field days because they need that.
that,
Yeah.
and we don't know what is missing with respect to research and they don't know what we can offer and us coming together and at the same time, them bringing their students to see
We had,
engineering.
we had a, yeah, we had a,
Exactly. Yeah.
it was 35 students that came through and saw stuff and
Yeah.
just watching their eyes when you guys were showing them your equipment and stuff just gets so big and like, that's so cool. And,
Yeah,
right, all that stuff. Seeing,
Yeah,
seeing
and the
seeing all-
International Geotechnical Conference in Austin,
Austin,
that I think the GI
Geo Institute. Yeah.
Institute, it was very, very dynamic and professor from the University of Texas, the director of the geotechnical department.
Yep.
He came to us and he's like, look, man, I want to do this with you guys. I want to help you develop this research so that we can write papers and then this can become, something real that we can do interactively with the universities and the geotechnical people and also with us. So if we can come together and do that together, that would be awesome.
That's awesome. So we are almost at the end of our time. Before we let you go, one question for you. You have worked on many projects around the world. So if you can pick one project that is very close to your heart and your favorite project, which one would you pick and where did you do this?
Thank you for that. That's a good question. I would say, for me, one of the most important projects in my career has been one that I recently did in Africa.
Africa.
Yeah, we did a seawall.
Seawall. Right.
It was in a very, very hard material called vermelho. Vermelho. It's a very plastic soil.
Clay, right?
Very
It's
clay
very clay soil,
very
yes.
soil, very, very hard driving, it was very challenging to get that seawall in, especially because the design was made with double king piles.
Oh,
Oh,
And they would plug at the bottom, and the contractor didn't want to use a vibro hammer because they had already built all the new quay, and they didn't want to damage it with
damage
the
it.
vibrations.
Yes.
And so they didn't allow us to bring the diesel hammer that we wanted to bring because they were afraid that this vibration would damage the concrete. So we started driving these piles with the vibro hammer. We brought in one of the bigger vibro hammers, but it was so close to the quay that we had to bring an extension that was 65 feet long. So we could drive the sheet piles down with the extension, and then and the vibro wouldn't hit the quay, right? So we did that, but it was there was so much plugging going on that we couldn't finish driving with the vibro.
Yeah. And I
So
and I think we can talk about this forever because this is an amazing project.
yeah.
And Frankie, we want you to come back again and we will just talk about this project.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
And if you're going to Mexico next month for
Yes,
national,
I'll be there.
yes, then I will see you there too, Frankie.
Sure.
Thank you so much for doing this with
Thank
us.
you. Lucky.
It's a pleasure
Thanks,
to
Frankie.
see you.
Thanks.
So Fernanda, next one, yes. Fernanda Osborne, and she is with Hubble.
Yes,
Um,
Hubble. Hi.
Yes.
Hi, how are
I
you?
don't think we have met
No, I don't think you so either. I'm Matt. I'm with DFI.
So he is, we call him Super Matt. We call him Super Matt for a reason because he is amazing. And he's
That's
been,
not how the story starts.
come on.
No, that's
I
not how
know
the
you.
story starts. No, so I started with DFI in February, and first event with staff was or with the large group was
This February?
this February. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're having our executive committee meeting and getting going, and Matt James is our immediate past president. And I'm in the room and he walks in and people are saying, hi, Matt, and Matt James says, we're not doing this. I'm gonna call you Super Matt. And you've been with Matt James enough that you can picture him saying just exactly that. So
And with a serious face
yes,
and a little
absolutely.
bit of a smile.
And a little bit of a smirk to the side. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what- yeah. Anyway,
The reason I call him Super Matt is not because it started that way, because he just came in, he was plugged right in, and he took off. and he's one of my favorite person now. So I've known him before in the industry, so I'm loving it.
So
Working with
beyond the title of Supermax, right?
Right away, right away. So Fernanda, we want to
Okay.
talk about a few things
Yeah,
with
enough
you.
about me.
Yes, I know, not about you. We can talk about it anytime. So, Fernanda, so you've had a very distinct, path in career path, right? And we both started in steel industry a few years ago. I mean, I left design and engineering and came up to steel industry, and we both started in there. Just tell us a little bit of your journey when you started and now.
Okay. So I'm originally from Brazil. And I
Both are.
both are. And I graduated civil engineering in Brazil. And I had the opportunity to come here to the US. And when I came here, I haven't had any experience in Brazil yet. And I was looking for a job, and I got an opportunity to work with sales, and I have never heard about this title that says like sales engineering. Because when you're going to school for civil engineering, you don't expect to work with sales, like you want to work with design and other things. But I decided to take a chance, and I felt that was my place. I said, well, I like this. I like to work with sales.
Also,
Yeah. and the sales always been on the steel industry, and
Yes.
like you said. And now I moved with Hubble, and I'm a sales manager for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what is your territory as a
Okay.
sales manager?
I have we call like the western of the United States, because I have like a very large territory in all the West Coast, the western, like the Rocky Mountains, and Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii.
Wow.
So I got all the cool places.
All the cool
fun
places.
place to travel.
Yeah, it's a large territory, but it's been fun. I've been with them for 2 years now,
Uh-huh.
and I have been member of DFI for 8 years, I
Ooh,
think.
longer than I have been, Matt.
Oh,
Yes, I'm
No, I
only
don't think so.
2016 is my starting. Can you believe that?
wow.
I feel like I've spent a lifetime. with
Yeah,
you.
no, I would not have said 6
So,
years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you something else too.
Okay.
So for people who don't know, Fernanda is also a big active member of the Community Foundation's group, WIDF group. And she is also part of one of the mentoring pods. So
Best one.
the best one, yes,
Everyone
I
says-
know.
Everyone says that their pod is the best. It's fantastic. It's amazing. I can't imagine how they all are the best.
So I want to ask you, you have started with the pod and we've had the pod for more than a year now. And tell us a little bit about the pod and your experience with the pod and what you like, and how this has helped you as an individual in the industry.
Well, I started with the pod because I wanted to be a little bit more involved with the group initially. And what I like the most is like the experience that we exchange with each other and the support of the group in general. Because if you're going through like anything hard or anything difficult, you can share with the group, and everybody's so like supportive and open, pretty much like hug you and say, yeah, come here, I will help you, and give you advice and everything. So this been really helpful for me.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, go ahead.
What's it like with the pods? Not being in one, just hearing what people talk about it, I mean, just to learn about it more. You have people that are older than you and younger than you in the pod. How's that work for you? What's the advantages of that? And what do you like about that?
I guess that's the bad thing, and that's how they set up the bot to be like that. For you to exchange this experience, because the younger people, of course, is experience from the older people, and more experienced people, I should say. And I think that's the best part of the bot. And wouldn't make sense to have like a bunch of young people.
Wondering, yeah. It's very interesting that she says that, because I think mentoring has become a two-way street. It is not just older people mentoring younger people. I think it's the same opposite. Older people learning from younger people of their, of their needs,
Yeah.
what is changing in the industry, what,
That's right. Yeah.
right, what is changing,
Yeah.
and what can older people do to keep them in the industry? That is a big problem.
Successful.
Yeah, that has been a big problem for us. So I think as much as Fernanda gets from the older people in the pod, I think we expect a lot of things from her as well, to learn from her experiences, and saying like, hey, what do you young generation people need? What is more hip now? We don't know. Please teach us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree on that for sure. Because it's still like the different generations, and like the millennials like us, we
Definitely.
have like a desire like for quick answers, and like our needs a little bit different. Just have to learn
Yes.
how to interact, I would say.
Yes. So you are from Brazil, you said, when you started, right? So where are you in Brazil? Which part of Brazil are you from?
I'm from Southeast Brazil. Most people don't know the city, my hometown, but it's just to make it easy to understand. I'm about 6 hours driving from Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, what is
I'm
the
in the
name?
mountain.
What is the name of
The
the
name is Belo Horizonte.
Belo Horizonte? I have been to Belo Horizonte 5 times.
Oh my God, seriously?
Yes.
Five times?
Belo Horizonte is one of my favorite places. Minas Gerais
Uh-huh.
culture and food is close to my heart. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. My home state is famous for the food.
Food, yes, yes.
But another place on the list to go to.
Yes. So I was there in May this year in Belo Horizonte.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
you've been going there more often than I have.
How many do you go? Do you get to go every year, or do you? How long?
Yes, I usually go every year, but I haven't been there this year yet.
Oh, maybe we both will go together.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And I've always stayed in Mercure Hotel, right by the market area, and in Belo Horizonte,
By the Central Market,
by the Central Market, and
Uh-huh.
that's one of my favorite places to stay.
that's the best place because you can get to it and try all the good
Good
food.
food, yes. So, all your family is still in Brazil?
All my family, besides my husband, that is American, and
Ah,
we live here together in San Diego.
how did you both meet?
Long story. Long story, but we met.
Yes, let's make it a good one.
We met in Hawaii about 10 years ago, or
Ooh.
even longer. I was in the United States doing kind of like student exchange,
Okay.
and we met at the beach. Like the first week I was there.
Oh, look at that. Love at first sight,
Yeah.
right?
A little bit of long distance
Oh.
relationship, but it worked out. And
How long were you long distance before?
about 3 years.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a long,
That's a long time.
Yeah,
that's a long time.
I know,
I'm
it's
really
good.
happy that it worked out,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
So did you you did your schooling in Brazil
I
and
did.
then came here for masters or
No,
for job?
actually, I came here to be with him. Like,
Oh,
to
be
be
with
honest.
him. Okay.
But initially, when I met him, I came just for like a student exchange. And the reason why we did the 3 years long distance is because I was still going to school in Brazil.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I graduated there, and then I came here. I have my EIT now. And that's
Awesome. So when you came to US, what was your first? Oh my God, this is crazy. What is wrong with Americans? What was that one thing?
one thing. I it's kind of funny, but like in Brazil, we don't use our hands to eat, and then we usually eat with silverware. And here, everybody just eat with the hand, and I thought it was like, oh my God, this is different.
Sandwich with silverware? I don't know.
Or maybe like with a napkin, I don't know. Pizza, and one more thing, we put ketchup in the pizza.
In Brazil.
Yeah.
That's exactly how Indians eat pizza. too.
It's a different kind of tomato paste,
Yeah. I would say
way.
that,
a little saltier.
Disgusting to me.
but it's disgusting to Americans to put ketchup in the pizza, but they put ketchup in everything else. So I
Yeah.
don't understand.
Ketchup and ranch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. To my kids, vegetables are just a delivery mechanism for ranch. That's all it is.
Well, I like ranch with everything too. Sorry to say this.
That's all right.
To eat my my piece of ketchup.
So every year when you go back to Brazil, every chance you get, what is the first thing that you do?
Besides hug my family, I eat.
What is your favorite thing to eat when you go back? That you have to eat before you come back?
It's a popular thing. It's pão de queijo.
Pão de queijo, yes.
It's a Brazilian cheese bread, and
Oh,
they
okay.
actually it got so famous that they sell here in the United States now.
Yes.
But it's not the same.
That's good.
So.
No, it's good,
It's
right?
funny you say every meeting you would go to in Brazil, they would coffee and pão de queijo.
Yes.
That's what they would give
Yes.
you. And I found out recently that Costco has pão de queijo now that you can purchase. And if you ever go to New York,
Mhm.
there is a Brazilian coffee house right by this the LSI Lake.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
and that place has the best pão de queijo. And the person who makes that and barista there
Uh-huh.
is from São Paulo.
Oh, really? Okay, so
Gabrielle,
I must
Gabrielle, I
try.
think. Yeah, and he's also a tattoo artist.
Oh,
So I know too much about him.
Apparently you've been there frequently.
Frequently, yes. So
yes, you get pão de queijo
And-
and do a tattoo.
yes, to a tattoo. And they also have a lot of delicacies of Brazil in that coffee house. So if you ever come to New York, reach out to me and we will go together.
Yeah, get a taste of home.
Okay,
Taste of home, yeah.
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, Fernanda, it was amazing talking to you and obrigada. Obrigada. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure.
Okay.
Pleasure to talk to
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
There is two questions that I have to ask you after conversing with you last night. So I will be asking you those
All right.
questions.
All right, so what do we do here? Educate me quickly.
We are just going to ask you a
We'll have a
bunch of
chat.
questions. We'll have a chat. You can ask us anything you want,
Okay,
and we will just have a good time.
so then who watches any of this junk?
Everyone will watch. It's on YouTube, DFI channel. You will be surprised. I think we had this conversation last night about the podcast in the bar after a few drinks.
I only have one request. I don't know, I can't speak for you.
I know. I am so sorry.
So when are we officially on?
Now
No, we're live.
we are live.
Live.
Yeah.
Speaking to the world, Jerry.
And for people who don't know Jerry DiMaggio, he's an icon. He's a legend. Everyone knows him. It took me 6 years to go and say hello to him because I was scared of him. But he is super down to earth and he's very easy to talk to. So if you're a young engineer attending DFI, you always have to go and say hello to Jerry DiMaggio.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I know I'm not the handsomest person in the world, but it took you 6 years worth of enough courage to approach me.
You're that much of an icon in the industry.
Wow.
You know,
I'm
the
scared.
reputation is wonderful and to a certain degree intimidating.
Intimidating. Yes, that's the word I should have used.
But you're not.
But you're
I mean, once
I
somebody
think
like,
from an appearance point of view, it's the Sicilian in me that creates that.
Oh, you are Sicilian.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know,
I did not know
Sicilians
that.
are not Italians. Sicilians are
oh, no.
close to the Greek. Everybody on the Mediterranean has a certain culture.
Uh-huh.
And that's very different. Like Northern Italy, for example, is very different than Southern.
So were you born in Sicily?
No, my father came here when he was about 6.
Oh.
So we've been here a long time.
So where do you live now?
I live in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware,
Uh-huh.
on the beach.
Mhm.
And then I have a second home in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Both places I love. North Carolina is growing exponentially.
Yeah, I told you yesterday the story about taxes in Delaware, but you promised not to say anything. Raleigh is a very nice place to live, but you should not tell that to anybody too. But anybody who watches this is not gonna know that. Because exponentially.
you just told them. Yeah.
I did,
You just
yeah.
told
You
them.
just said that. Well,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first question I want to ask you is, you have been an icon. You've been in the industry for a very long time. You've worked on zillion projects. If I tell you, you want to know about one of your favorite projects, which one would that be?
Well, there are several, and I have worked on over 1,000 projects. I've worked in all 50 states, some projects in the Middle East, most of the Caribbean, and a couple of countries in South America. My favorite project was difficult. There are several, but I would say since we're at National Harbor, I did have the opportunity and the pleasure to work on the Woodrow Wilson Bridge.
Oh, the one that Dr. Sissy was talking about yesterday
And
morning.
then we could see if we.
We could see, look.
Ah,
Yep, and then we ran
Yes.
up a ramp towards.
ran towards, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I worked on the design phase of Woodrow Wilson. And then the Ravenel Bridge in Charleston, South Carolina, 2 favorites. I don't know,
Okay.
there's lots of favorites. That's why I'm still working. I've got too many. I have an appetite for interesting things.
Yes. So why are they your favorites?
Well, I explained Woodrow Wilson Bridge because of its proximity. The Ravenel Bridge, I think because of its geology, Cooper Marl is a over-consolidated sill.
Yes.
Yeah, and very deep drill shafts, 3 extreme events, scour,
Mhm.
missile impact, seismic loading, so very challenging for the foundations.
Yeah.
My longest project, it's a dispute project out in the West, lasted 11 years. The dispute lasted 11.
Wow.
I got so tired of sending monthly invoices. I was hoping and praying that the project would end.
Finally, it did that for 11 years.
Yeah, well, everybody was settled. Not everybody was happy with the settlement, but that's the way that
Really,
works.
really are,
Yes.
right?
So let's talk a little bit about how did you come into this industry? Because I heard a very good story yesterday and I want to tap into that story.
So I told you part of this yesterday.
Yes.
And I grew up in a lower blue collar family in Brooklyn. The first one that went to university. I went to an all boys elementary school and all boys high school. Graduated early in my youth. Went to Hunter College, which was the premier university. I don't know if it still is, honestly, in New York City. And my plan was to get an undergraduate degree in accounting and then go to law school. And then defend mafia people who went to jail, get them out of jail. Anyway, so I lasted about 2 weeks, or a week and a half in Hunter College, and I was just too immature at that point. So then I drove a truck in Manhattan for a year. And that is probably one of the more dangerous jobs that I could ever think of.
Oh my God.
So driving a bus in Manhattan would be a little bit worse, but driving a truck
Truck?
in Manhattan
Mm.
is very dangerous because
Yes.
it's big. And that truck was a wholesale liquor truck. So we were
Oh.
delivering liquor to the upper end of Manhattan and the Bronx, which are at that time, and they've changed remarkably, gotten better. They were dangerous places. You show up with a liquor truck, it's like a Brinks car showing
Yeah.
up with bags of money.
Yeah.
So it was a dangerous job, but at any rate, I decided I didn't want to drive the truck for the rest of my life. And I went to Orange County Community College in New York,
Mhm.
found a great mentor and physics professor, and then went to Clarkson University to finish my undergraduate and graduate. So, and I'm where God meant me to be. I truly believe that. I've been doing this for 50 years. And I don't know
And
when it's
still
going
doing
to
it.
end, but pardon,
And still
Still
doing.
doing
I work 7 days a week. Yeah.
7 days a
Wow.
week. Oh my God.
I have my own LLC and then I work for a corporation, national corporation.
So you spoke about Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So me and my husband, I'm sure Matt can agree with this too, are suckers for pizza.
Oh,
And after eating pizza in Brooklyn, I cannot eat pizza anywhere
Oh, no.
else in the world.
No, the pizza in St. Louis, I can't, it's awful.
Yes.
They love it, but to me, I might as well be eating paperboard.
Yes.
It's so thin and hard. It's just,
so
it's unique.
I would agree with that. And then the second thing, which can't be replicated in my experience, are bagels.
Bagels.
No,
Yes.
absolutely.
You are
Yeah.
absolutely
New
correct.
York bagels and New Jersey bagels can't be replicated. In fact, by coincidence, I have some business in southern New Jersey next week. And my list of bringbacks are pastries, Italian pastries, and bagels,
Bagels.
because you can't get them. I think it's maybe illegal to carry them across the line You bring them into Maryland and Delaware, that might be, might be pulled over by a
Angry
state trooper.
people.
Whoa, a state trooper works like a lot, that could be a felony, I don't know.
Yes. And if I put you on the spot and ask you, what is your favorite pizza place in Brooklyn?
Well, I haven't been to Brooklyn in
In a very
many
long time.
years, yeah.
When you were in Brooklyn, what was your favorite pizza place and why?
That would be difficult. I couldn't remember the name because I left Brooklyn when I was 18
Okay.
and I'm a little older.
Young at heart, if you know what I mean, right? Yeah, yeah. So another question for you is, yesterday, me, you, and Silas Nichols were talking, and Silas said, well, if you haven't met Jerry's wife, you have to meet her. She's the mayor of America.
Well, she actually is the mayor of Frankfort, Kentucky.
Oh,
She has a key to the city for Frankfort, Kentucky.
to the city. What
Yeah.
does that mean?
Well, the mayor actually well, if you've ever been to Frankfort, Kentucky, you should go there.
Okay.
Has a Buffalo Trace bourbon, if either of you drink
Yep.
bourbon, that's where Buffalo
Yep.
Trace is made. And the two most famous buildings in Frankfurt are the Buffalo Trace Distillery and the government building. And the rest of it is. So my wife was playing tourist in Frankfurt while I was working, and the mayor, lady at that time, approached her because my wife was taking photos and said, "Can I ask what you're doing?" She said, "I love your downtown. So can I present you with the key to the city?" And then it gives you some accolades. Like, you know, it's all in fun, of course, right?
Yes,
Sure.
yes. So how did you meet your wife?
My wife, so there is a term that's probably not used anymore called a candy store, and a candy store sold fountain sodas and newspapers and bottled water, bottled soda. And my wife's mother ran that store,
Oh,
and I lived in a different neighborhood, but a friend of mine lived in that neighborhood, and I met my wife through there. So we've been, I met my wife when she was 16, I was 17.
wow.
Wow.
Lifelong.
Well, yeah, but traveling helps, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I do a lot of traveling, so I'm sure she's quite happy about it.
Yeah, I say
But
that
I'm
all the time.
married
about my
54
travel.
years, but if you really add it up, I think I'm only married about 7 years.
Only
all the
7
travel.
years. Yeah, all the travel. You know, that's exactly I tell my husband too, because I travel a lot too for work. And I think that keeps our marriage very interesting.
No, it is a bit
It's stressful at times too,
Stressful
but
at
it
times too.
works out, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell I've been on a roll for about 5 weeks of travel straight.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm home for too long of a period of time, I can tell I've been home for too long a period of time because my wife will say, "When's your next trip?"
When you leaving again? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Mine's usually the other way. When are you coming home?
Then you're coming home. Well, you
I-
have young kids.
We do,
You
we
have
do. There's a
young
lot of
kids.
work going on there and yeah,
Yeah.
but I joke that I travel to help my wife remember why it's nice having me around.
Yeah, yeah. We have a dog. So when my husband gets tired of taking care of the dog, because she is my dog, but he takes care of her and I actually just, go up there, make an effort and pamper her. That's all I did. So when he says that, when it's too long, I've been taking care of your dog, that means like I have to come.
So are either of you familiar with the INGA DiMaggio baseball?
No, we are not. Or
I
you?
am. I am. We
Tell me
talked
about
about this in Cleveland, but
Yeah.
you gotta feel lucky in.
Okay, so this is interesting. So you both know our good friend Mike Wysocki.
Yes, Mike Wysocki.
Well, Tom Wysocki, his dad, who's no longer with us. I used to kid around at courses I teach and say, if you get an answer right, I'll sign a baseball for you. And I had no baseballs at that time. So at a conference in Orlando, Tom called my bluff. And he actually said, my son Mike, and I meet him in the exhibit hall ironically, said, my son Mike said, get Jerry to sign this ball. So he calls my bluff, obviously. So now I buy, I just bought another dozen baseballs. There's probably 100 of them in circulation. And so I would sign it. Too lucky, world's best fan, Jay DiMaggio, quite legal. And it's amazing. There's about 100 of them in circulation. I buy them for about $4 a piece now. After I deface them, you go on eBay, you can buy them for 75 cents. Very valuable.
Very valuable. So how can I get hold of one now?
Happen to have one with a couple with me. Now, I stopped signing them for a while because I was flooding the market. I was concerned about evaluating them.
Oh, I think,
Oh, can I get
you
one?
need
You
to.
can get one tomorrow morning. I'll bring it.
Tomorrow morning, awesome.
You will be here.
I will be here
Okay, good.
till the last minute,
I
last second.
think I would love to have.
You want to have one?
I would love to have one.
Well, you'll have to wait till the next conference,
Okay.
because again, you heard that I don't want to flood the markets.
Right.
Right?
Thank
That'd be
you.
cheesy.
But so it's lucky, it's your lucky day.
Yes, it's my lucky day. Friday is my lucky day. Well, Jerry, I think we are coming up to the end of the conversation, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks for stopping by and
Thank you for
chatting
stopping
with
by.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to wait another 6 years to come and say hello to you and find more stories from you.
Okay.
So I will be talking to you more now.
I'll be working on more stories. Thank you.
Thank
both
you very much, Jerry.
Thank you, Gary. Good chatting again.
Have a great day.
You too.
Get out of here.
Game day, day 2. Are you ready? We have a special guest today. Morgan and I are super excited to welcome Bradley Keelor, Director of Geo Institute. And you must know him from Director's Cut. If you haven't seen Director's Cut, you better get on it. Subscribe, subscribe, watch, and send him feedbacks.
It goes click like, click subscribe, click get notifications, and we will let you know every time we post something to the channel, which is frequently.
Yes, every week. And he gets to say this breathless. If you don't know what I say, you have to listen to him. So Brad, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I've had a busy week. It's exciting to finally be back home and to be at DFI47.
Right. And tell me about the green shirt that you're wearing today.
Well, there was a lot of thought that went into this today, and most of those thoughts were about whether I should wear some kind of shirt promoting the Geo Institute.
You should definitely wear a shirt.
I decided, well, yeah. I've heard no service if there's no shirt.
Right.
No
So I
service.
took that to heart. If you watch Sebastian Lobo Guerrero's Director's Cut, there's a great story about that actually to cross promote there. But yeah, no, so I just went with the green shirt today, and I went with the Geo Congress 23.
I mean,
Uh,
you beat me to it. I was going to ask you about that. What's this?
So yeah, so Geo Congress, for those who don't know, it's the Geo Institute family reunion. Happens every year. We move around the US, and great technical sessions, great keynotes, award lectures, student competitions, lots of fun stuff on the side. So every year we make a promotional item for the committee and for our board and some other key people to wear around. And for LA, it was the almost trucker hats, not quite. And we wanted it to be, we're celebrating trashy LA for Los Angeles.
Trashy LA.
1980s LA.
So do we get to dress up 1980s LA and come up to the conference?
If you would like to do that, we would certainly welcome that. Some large plastic rimmed sunglasses. Maybe multicolor, like a pastel colored shirt with some hideous neon style cursive font on it. Yeah, go for it.
It's awesome. I'm definitely doing that. Maybe not a t-shirt with neon thing, but I may wear a dress with a neon thing.
It's gonna be really good. This year, one of the exciting things that we're adding is the Shamshir Prakash lecture. It's become an ASCE award, and this will be the first time that the lecture is given. The awards committee is going to be deliberating on that pretty soon in the next few weeks. And we'll make that announcement sometime this winter, and we'll have the first lecture in Los Angeles.
That's amazing. So I definitely have to talk about Director's Cut because I got a taste of it last week. Tim Siegel and I were on Director's Cut, and Brad Keelor asked us some awkward questions, fun questions, and engaging questions. So tell us what went behind starting Director's Cut.
So there are a couple things. One, at my first job over 20 years ago, I helped redesign the intranet. And to make it more engaging, one of the things I did is I did an interview with a different staff person every month. And I would ask them some questions about their job. They would have to explain what they did all day, but then I would ask them things like, if you were stranded on an island and you could only eat meat for the rest of your life, what would you bring with you?
Oh my God.
And so that happened. And then at my last job, I used to work for the British government. I was based at the British Embassy in DC. And every Friday afternoon, I would ask our entire team a question that they had to weigh in on. And they were often things like, if you were a child in a mafia family and you knew that you were going to go into the mafia,
Oh
what
my
would be
God.
the most valuable college degree you could get? And we would come up with things like chemical engineering and finance for money laundering, and on and on. And really what we found is a lot of degrees are useful to a career in the mafia. English, not so much, because all you would have to do is be the guy, like when somebody was about to get capped, you could come up with a nice one-liner.
Oh my God.
That was about it. And so during when the COVID pandemic started, honestly, we were bored. We didn't have enough to do a lot of days. And so we decided we would start live streaming and start making some recorded content. Director's Cut came out of that. I thought we would do maybe 10 or 12 episodes and everybody would get bored. And people watched. And I've had companies offer me money to have their employees on Director's Cut. Which is not
Amazing.
really how it works, but okay. And now we're going to be at 100 episodes pretty soon. Our 100th episode is going to be the week of November 7th. It's
Uh-huh.
going to be Jim Mitchell
Ooh.
of Cal Berkeley and Virginia Tech fame. And everybody can submit a question for Jim. And if your question is chosen and I use it, you get a $200 discount for Geo Congress
Oh my God.
2023.
Man, we have to get
Nice.
on it, Morgan. How much do you know Jim Mitchell?
I know pretty well, like from a admirer's view, a lot about him, but then I have some maybe technical questions or questions about some of the things I know and how they might tie into his career that I would be interested to hear about.
I'm going to find people that know Jim Mitchell very
Get-
close.
Submit the questions. The more the merrier.
Ask them ask questions from them, and I will submit it. What is?
This is so for the 50th episode, we did a scavenger hunt where people had to go and answer 10 questions about things that were hidden in prior episodes. And same deal, the winner got a $200 discount to Geo Congress. And we actually had somebody who went and tracked down every single answer.
That is amazing.
It was crazy.
So I want to put you on the spot
Do it.
and ask you, who is your favorite geotechnical legend
My favorite Geo legend.
Besides
and
me,
why?
Well, I've
Besides
got a-
Morgan.
I've got a bunch. But I think somebody who's really in the pantheon and maybe at the head of it for me personally is Ken Stokey. And I mean, obviously the guy's really good at what he does, so there's that. But I think his approach towards students is something that everybody should strive for. He has such a warm personality. He's welcoming to everybody. He will do anything for somebody coming up in the industry. And to me, that's why he's right up there. He's not at the top, but we have a new crop of Geo legends coming in too. I won't give them all away because you got to read them in GeoStrata, right?
Yes.
But I think Ken's probably
Ken's
at the top of the heap.
Okay. So you asked this question to everybody on Director's Cut. If there is one person you want to bring on Director's Cut, who would that be?
To bring on Director's Cut.
Your favorite.
Oh, my favorite interview so far, or one that's coming up?
One that's coming up.
Oh, man. Well, I'll start by saying this, and you can tell I've had a long career in politics. We have very many worthy GI members to appear on Director's Cut. Everybody is valuable and interesting in their own way. Now, with that said, I think Sean Oddie from USGS, if anybody knows Sean, he's going to be coming up soon. He is going to be the Halloween episode, which you never want to miss the Halloween episode. I was a Frappuccino last year, so you might want to go back and watch that. So Sean's going to be a good one. I really like having the younger members and the students on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great exposure for them, for people to get to know them, but also, wow, it's a lot of fun. And you find out things like Shirley Tang from the Pittsburgh chapter was on, And we talked about how in college she cooked on pretty much nothing but a waffle iron for 2 years.
That's amazing.
Some good stories there.
Yes, yes. So looks like we're to the end of the time. I want to continue talking to you because I love
I could
talking to
stay
you.
for hours.
I know. We want you, but so one question I want to ask you before you leave is when you think of DFI, I know you're very loyal to Geo Institute.
Well, they do pay me.
I know, but
It's weird how that works.
but if you think of DFI and when you think of DFI, what is that one thing that comes to your mind?
Well, I think that, I mean, I have a much different viewpoint on this being staff, but I think DFI can be a lot more nimble than GI. ASCE is a giant machine, and sometimes that works in our favor, and sometimes it does not work in our favor. So I am envious of the way you guys can start stuff up seemingly on a dime and get it going without having to have approval from a ton of people. So I think it's that, but I think having it backed by the technical excellence is that, I mean, that's how I think of DFI. Obviously, I think of us that way too, but it's a little bit different with DFI. You guys have more input from contractors, and you know, we always strive for that. So we really appreciate being so close to you guys and being able to access that, even if we don't have it in-house. So I think that's probably a lot of it.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's a very good answer. And to close the session, I'm going to try. You can tell me how I will do. So don't forget to click, link, subscribe, give feedback, director's cut. Don't forget.
But if you're watching this on the DFI YouTube channel, you should do all those same things too. Definitely
Yes.
like this video, click subscribe, click get notifications. They will let you know every time they post something to the channel.
Thank you, Brad. That was amazing.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so
This
much.
should be in DC more often. I would show up
Yes.
every time.
And see you in Los
Angeles.
Los Angeles next
Don't
year.
say LA. Some people don't like it.
See you there next year.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Man. And today, Matt, we have Walter Paniagua. He is from Mexico, and I got to know him a little later in my career. I just met him earlier this year, and I had met him the first time 2019 Chicago DFI Las Vegas conference last year.
That's right.
Yes, Las Vegas conference last year, and rest is history. And he's one of my favorite people in the industry.
And
Welcome,
Walter and
Walter.
I just met this morning. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you for having me, Matt and Lucky.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
thanks for offering to be here.
There are so many things I want to talk about on this show with you. But one thing that I want to start with is your involvement with ISSMGE. So
Okay.
tell us a little bit about SSMGE.
ISSMG stands for International Society for Soil Mechanics and Geotechnical Engineering. It, I would say, agglutinates all the technical societies in the world. Well, not all. Some countries do not have a technical society, but the US has the Geo Institute, which is the technical society devoted to this profession, and it's part of ISSMG. Now, first time I attended an ISSMG conference, which is worldwide, was in Alexandria, in Egypt, 2009. I was president of the Mexican Society for Geotechnical Engineering at that time, and I was enchanted. So I then joined the Public Image Committee over
Mhm,
there, and we produced a video that is called "What is Geotechnical Engineering?" You can find it in YouTube. I just put it in the searcher, and that's it.
Okay.
I think it's a good video. We produced it in Mexico with the script of the president of the then committee, Mark Balus. Now it happens that now Mark is the president of ISSMG, and I became vice president for North America, which includes Canada, United States, and Mexico.
Mexico. Yes.
I was-
Congratulations.
Thank you. We were appointed, both Mark and me and the rest of the board, on May on the Sydney conference this year, and we will be in the office for the next 3 years.
Yes.
So we are working together. Mark was nominated by the Lebanon Society, this is Lebanese, but also seconded by the US Society.
Okay.
Because he lives in the US like half of his time.
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
that's why I became involved. I've been in other things on the process. I was chair of the TC214, which is devoted to subsoils at some point, like for 6 years. But now I dropped that position. I am the vice president, your vice president.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And I think, a lot of people know about ISSMGE, but at the same time, they really don't know what ISSMGE is doing, right? ISSMGE is in different countries, as you were talking about. They have conferences around, which people are not aware of. And it was really an honor for me. And, I have to say thank you to Walter. He, on behalf of DFI Women Indie Foundations, nominated and accepted Public Relations Award in Australia this year.
Yes, on behalf of the Women in Foundations
Right.
Committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And also tell us a little bit of your involvement with SMIC.
SMIC stands for the Sociedad Mexicana de Ingeniería Técnica, which would be the Mexican Society for Geotechnical Engineering.
Mhm.
That's it. I've been, I have filed almost all the positions in the board. I was voting member, then secretary, then vice president, finally, 2009, president. Now I am a member of the consulting board, as the former ex-presidents. And I also have this joint event with DFI. I've been a member of the DFI Institute since 2000. And I try to attend all the conferences. I think in 22 years, I have missed 2 or 3. Because I love this conference.
Can you believe
That's
that?
impressive. That's an impressive run.
I feel like home among contractors, suppliers, the equipment manufacturers, some consultants.
A few,
okay,
yeah.
a few professors, okay, no problem, and students. It's amazing for me. I really feel like at home. So, 2011, I say, why not have a joint event between Mexican Society and DFI? And since then, we have produced 5 symposiums on this topic. It's increasing interest. Now we have a refereed publication after each these things. And in the last one, which was this year, Lucky was kind enough to join us.
Yeah.
And established a Mexican chapter of the Women in the Foundations.
Yes. With
Nice.
Mariana and
Mariana Gomez and
Yes.
Dr. Patricia
Patricia.
and I can't remember the other person's name.
Elvira Leon.
Elvira. Yes, Elvira. She's also a amazing engineer. She's been in the industry for a very long time. And when you talk to her, oh my God, you can see a halo on top of her head.
Yes, she's a very experienced consultant. Patricia Lopez Acosta, she's a researcher at the National University, and now she is academic secretary, which is under the general director command. So she's a big possible.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I think, Matt, we asked him all the heavy questions. So let's ask him some fun questions.
Go for it.
Start thinking. I'm going to start
All
the
right.
first one and
Yep.
you go the next.
Okay.
So, Walter, what gets you started in the morning? In the morning, when you
in
wake
the
up,
morning.
what gets you started and motivated in the day?
Well, different things. My everyday work is as a contractor. Sometimes problems.
The phone ringing.
Bringing in the drill that cannot be done, the file that cannot be driven, things like that. That's one thing. Other thing is that I teach 2 days per week, and I kind of invented this course. It's called Construction Procedures, and I cover construction procedures in retracts, in piles, story walls, anchors, and micropiles, static load testing, etc. That's my everyday job. So really, it's a pleasure for me to deliver that course, and I've been doing that for 15 years. Always. So that's our thing that keeps me awake. Other thing is that twice a week I play golf. So
I was waiting for that.
Wednesdays and Saturdays, and that's very gratifying. Usually I wake up 5 minutes before the alarm sounds.
5 minutes before?
Before.
Yeah, yeah.
For
Got it.
golfing, of
For
course.
golfing?
For golfing, of course. Yeah,
For
yeah,
golfing.
yeah.
That's mainly the thing that keeps me awake and drives me in the morning. Troubles and fun.
I know, I know.
All right, we'll go on that golf theme. Favorite course you've played in the world?
It's a tough one. I will say El Camaleón in Cancun.
Okay.
The main reason is that that's where I made my first hole in one.
Oh, of course. There's always, yes.
I had two. So this one was my
Congratulations.
first. It's a beautiful course. Full with sinkholes and made. There's a limestone over there.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
with underground rivers, and it produces sinkholes once in a while. And the field courses filled with those things, which are another kind of
Obstacle.
hazards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is this the course that you have played a number of times with Jorge, your close friend?
Yes.
Golf lover?
Of course, he has a house in Cancun, and he's kind enough to invite us like 3 or 4 times a year to have a long weekend golfing. And this is
It's not what you know, who you know.
I know, right? That's why I was asking that question. Next time I go to Mexico, I will be telling Walter, hey, where is Jorge? So looks like we have come up to the end of our session. So I want to ask you one simple question. You've been part of DFI and you just said that you've been to all their conferences except 2 or 3. When you think of DFI, what comes to your mind?
Oh, continuous education.
Continuous
Updating
education.
myself. That's the main reason. I have to confess, not only to see friends like Matt and Lucky and many people here, but also to learn something, because this industry is growing so fast that you have to keep the pace. Otherwise, you will be outdated in a couple of years. So the constant education for me, it's important, and it's important to get it here, where the people are talking, where the lectures are delivered, where the exhibition is on the floor here.
Amazing.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you so much, Walter. And it's always a pleasure to see you. And I hopefully will be seeing you next month in Mexico,
Okay.
Guadalajara.
Next year in,
Next year in,
I don't know, it's in
oh, you mean
Seattle.
Seattle? Yeah,
Seattle.
DFI.
Seattle.
I was getting excited.
And you don't know, I mean, you're gonna have your conference in November next year, right?
Yes.
Didn't you say?
We're
Yeah,
friends
so
with the advisor.
we'll see each other a couple
Yeah.
times next year.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Walter. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Well, I see we have our next guest with us.
Yes, and she is my favorite person in the whole world. Dr. Sissy Nikolaou. And
Oh, good afternoon. How are you?
I have to say, welcome, Madam President. She's going to be
Yes.
the next president of Geo Institute.
As of
Tomorrow, she's going to be
That's
speaking
close
it.
enough.
Close enough. Yes, yes. How are you doing today, Sissy?
I'm doing very well. I'm very energized. Thanks. I'm sure.
Oh,
Yeah, Steph Davis. Yeah, it was incredible. Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We think that what we do is difficult, but
Oh
that
my
was
God.
something different.
Oh my God. Maybe I will take a lesson here or there on wingsuit jumping soon.
Start with skydiving, she said, right?
Oh yes, skydiving this year, my birthday. That's what I'm doing. So on that note, I want to talk to you and ask you, how does it feel to be Madam President?
Well, I think that for all of us who serve in the organizations we feel strongly about, it doesn't matter what you're called as long as you can contribute in
Uh-huh.
a positive way. And I remember when we started the Women in Big Foundation and we kicked it off, and it was a very, very small thing. And I see what it has become of it. And I am so proud to be like a lead part of that.
As you both should be. Yeah.
I don't know if she's saying little part of that. I don't
I-
think she was little part
I'm
of that.
sure she wasn't.
She was huge part of that.
Being modest.
It was different times, So I think also with the Geo Institute, the important thing is when you lead, to lead by example. I think this is the most important thing, because our world is a very nice world.
Mhm.
And I think our younger members want to see people who, bring something new to the table, but also have principles and help them grow themselves.
Yeah, that's definitely. So Matt, the best part about this is like my journey with Sissy started maybe 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Okay.
DFI was kind enough to ask me to write a member profile about Sissy.
Oh, right.
So instead of just asking her questions and giving her a call, I said, Sissy, do you have time for lunch? So we went out 3 times.
That was the beginning.
That was the beginning, yes. And since then,
Not the beginning of the end. So
Not
even
the
better.
Partnership and collaboration, and it was what, like 3 therapy sessions, I think.
3 therapy sessions, yes.
Yeah, they were so good, but both ways.
So the reason I brought that up was, I was new in New York. I did not know a whole lot of people, and Sissy has been mentoring me, grooming me a little bit, if I can say that. And she's always there to give me guidance. If I don't know what to do, pick up my phone, text her and say, Sissy, what do you think I should do? That kind of relationship is not very common. Invaluable. So at the same time, I found out that she has 2 kids, Isabella and Andrew, and Isabella is someone I love. So I want you to talk about Isabella, how strong of a person she has become now. What are her interests?
Yes, I can talk about Isabella. So Isabella obviously thinks the coolest engineer is Lucky, not me. There's nothing. I'm just her mom, which is fine. And it goes back to the conversation, I think, for the Women in the Foundation and I. That's something that we are discussing about how people could be different without you knowing that they're different. So Isabel has severe learning disabilities, which you would not know by talking to her, because she's multilingual, she's super smart, and all this stuff that people who have learning issues often are. So I'm very happy that she's now in college. It took a lot of effort and a lot of support from role models, other than, your mother is never your role model. It's like your frenemy. People like Lucky and just help her to build her confidence. So that could happen with any male person, any person of any color, and we would never know. It's not always the difference that you can see in people. And I think when we have what is different about the Women in the Foundation is like from the beginning, and Teresa was part of it, and Mary Ellen and everybody. It's like, this is not a clique. We're not going to be women and get together. It's like, this needs also men to be part of the conversation, because that's how you bring change. So yes, so now Isabel is very, very a very proud freshman.
Awesome.
And
Where's she at?
learned to.
What school is she at?
She's at UConn.
Okay, awesome. Let's go.
And she's studying international relations, which is what she loves. And she wants to go into law, which would be great because she's a big thinker. So
she is a strong personality, yes. I can say.
Yeah, but it's that I say that being different is something that you may have a different facade on the outside, but on the inside, people can make you very, very intimidated, yes. Because you know that you're different. And I think only with difference you can grow new ideas.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Because if you bring the same type of people, whatever this type is, to solve a problem, it's very likely they will have a small range of solutions. But if you're inclusive, then you can really grow the industry. Like, it's not the flavor of the month to be inclusive. That's how I see it. It's not the flavor of the month. It's a necessary thing that we have to do, and it's gonna bring you profit. And we have to make the business case of to grow.
We were talking about that earlier, that
yes.
the amount of growth that we've seen in DFI, both in more women being involved, but also more colors, more nationalities, more foreigners being involved in DFI, and the energy that we have now because of all those people being involved and the ideas that are coming up, it's awesome.
And it's
Great to
contagious.
see.
It's
It is,
contagious.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as I was saying, if I meet Sissy once, I can go on for a few months and then I have to meet her again. So I can go on for a few more months. So now let's ask her some light questions. Okay. So are you ready?
Ready or not.
You're on the spot. So you've traveled the world, right? You've been to every part of the world and you're part of gear, right? Any natural disaster, you are there and you're talking about like how to solve the problem. What can we do for the humankind, right? Things like that. So what would you say is one that is very favorite place of yours?
Favorite place in terms
And why?
of what I did, or it's, I think, one very big mission and response that really created also relationships and made an impact to the people, not only to how they deal with geohazards or geotechnical problems, was Ecuador.
Ecuador.
In 2016, about the time I met Lucky, there was an earthquake. And on April 16, 2016, in the area of Manta, in the seaside of Ecuador. I had never been to Ecuador before, and Gear called me up. Of course, I had signed up as a volunteer, as I always do, and they called me and they said, "Oh, we want you to lead this." And I said, I don't speak Spanish, but I'm very good at communicating. I'm Mediterranean. Of course, I wanted to do it. Right?
Right.
So they sent me there, and I had an amazing team with me, and I had a counterpart, Javier Veras, who was knew everybody. So he was American educated from Berkeley, but he went back and had his own company. So it's very, very important in these missions to have contacts that can open doors. So we wanted to go to the Port Authority or the Buildings Department, things that it's very hard, especially when people are responding to an earthquake. They're trying to save people. They don't care if the Americans came to study the earthquake, right? So it was an amazing collaboration. I met with classmates that were back there and they were in the army, and it was just a very, very well worth adventure. That it was also very, very intense. It was very geotechnically driven. And I have made friends forever. And the important thing is that they led us, my friend Javier, but also Enrique Morales, who was the head of the engineering for the army, and he graduated from the same school as I, Buffalo. They opened the doors to talk to people. So one of the major disasters that they had was that the embankments of growing the jumbo shrimp, which is part of what makes the economy great, it was destroyed, and people, as always, they don't want to leave their places.
Right.
They didn't want to leave. They stayed there, but the only thing they know how to do is to fish. They're only fishermen.
Yeah.
So they let us talk to them, and I said, why don't we have them be part of the reconstruction? They know how to use their hands, and they have the best interest for this to work out. Let's teach them how to build back the embankments.
Right.
And it was a true lesson in resilience because it gave them a purpose.
Yeah.
And it was direct. And you know what? Talking to their kids, I can guarantee you that some of them are going to be engineers because now they appreciate that.
Yeah.
So somehow I came back, right? And I'm going to finish the story. It's a long story, but I came back and I spoke to the senior advisor to President Obama for resilience that I had met in the resilience summit for earthquakes. And I told her the story, and she's like, "How did you come up with this? That's amazing." And I said, "Well, it's natural to me, right?" And she's like, "Oh, we need to hear more about it. Can you come to the White House in 2 weeks?"
She's been to the White House.
And talk to us about it. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So it was, so going back to what you said, what makes these missions successful is that if you can go out of your comfort zone, and I think engineers, their comfort zone is within their science
Mhm.
and what we do as engineers. Talking to the public or especially kids and learning how to implement what we are doing by making everybody be part of it is challenging.
Yes.
And, you know, as we change, I hope that this will be part of what we do.
Yeah. And you've been impactful in different parts of the world and every corner of the world. Thank you so much for everything you do. And I'm looking forward to contributing to GI as you being the president. You know, I'm looking forward to contributing. And I think we are coming to the end of our talk. But before we leave, I want to ask you, what is your favorite cuisine?
Well, that's Greek. I cannot.
Oh. And she cooks very well.
I don't doubt.
She cooks very well, and I've had her. She cooked Greek food one Christmas for us in her home in New York City, and I still remember every single thing that I ate. So thank you, Sissy. Thank you very much. Thank you. And
Thank you.
thank you. Well, we have our next guest,
Jay.
Jay. Yes, Jay from IDEO. How are you doing today? Good. Has it been a good day for you today?
Yeah, it's been a
Really good day.
yeah.
What was your favorite things today? Tell us.
Overall, the traffic where we are, where the booth is honestly really
Right
good.
by the front door.
So
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
we're kind of the first thing to see when you come in. So,
Uh-huh.
but it feels like the first show, and we've been to a few since, where there's just a lot more action, a lot more people that you haven't seen in a long time.
Uh-huh.
And it's good to catch up and see that most people are pretty busy still. And
Uh-huh.
it's,
Uh-huh.
that's what's good.
So I want to ask you, what is life at Ideal for you? What does a day look like for you at Ideal?
Okay, it's quite varied. I'm the CEO, so obviously responsible for strategy and finance and meeting with the managers, but I also get involved in, there's a particular area that needs focus. So last week I was on the West Coast and more of a sales hat.
Uh-huh.
This week I'm just working with the team in this booth. The beginning of the week was a lot of interviewing, so it's all over the map.
So are you
Go ahead.
from Rochester originally?
Yep,
Okay. Born and raised whereabouts in Rochester?
Confield.
Penfield?
Penfield.
Likewise.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on Creek Street.
Okay.
Did you live right there?
I lived off Henderson. So
Okay.
yeah, I buried there.
Nice.
That's
great.
amazing.
Yeah,
Small,
it's a
small world.
Well,
Yeah.
I knew these guys were from Rochester. So we
Oh,
talked about
that's
it.
why.
Yeah, you lined it up.
Yeah. So as a CEO, if I can ask you, what is the most challenging and most difficult decision that you had to make?
Most challenging, difficult. I would say that the continuing challenging thing is picking the right people.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I'd say
That's very
ongoing,
true.
that's as you grow, having a sort of a network of people that you know, okay, that would work well when we get to this spot or whatever it might be. I would say that's definitely the most challenging, because if you end up with either a cultural, you know, we're not fitting, or have the same thoughts about growth or thoughts about how you treat your people or whatever it might be, just
Not,
it's very hard to make progress.
yeah.
So I would say that's the hardest thing to do, because you're essentially acquiring something or joining up with someone when you haven't really had any experience, right?
Mhm.
Working with that person other than what you've heard and that kind of thing. And it's quite a long commitment. I mean, we only get 30 to 60 minutes to decide for both the interviewer and interviewee where they're gonna spend the next 3 to 5, whatever years, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
There's going to be a fit or not. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very difficult
Not the strategy, but the people.
people. Yes, not the strategy, but the people.
because
Yes,
if your culture and your people, right, strategy is much easier. to
much
put
easier.
together.
They will help you. They will help you make strategies, right? Make it happen. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
So another serious question. So if there is a younger engineer
Yep.
who will be watching this or who is watching this, if they want to aspire to become a CEO of a company in the future, what path do you think they should take, and what are the skills that are important to build on the way to becoming a CEO?
Yeah, so like from a student or from a young engineer, so, and that's assuming they want to be.
They want to be one.
They want to be one. Let's say they want to be one. I mean,
So,
I think that, younger generation are a lot more ambitious than
Yeah.
we were. And for us, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, right. So that's why I'm asking this question, because I think it will happen
yeah,
more importantly than what we think.
I think, I mean, you have to, and there's a couple different ways to look at this, but getting broad experience, I think is really important. So engineers are going to tend to be more focused on, maybe, I'm gonna put them all in a box for a minute.
We're used to it. It's okay. We put CEOs in a box
More
too.
focused maybe on the numbers or technical data, histories.
Mhm.
And then maybe maybe a little less about people, less about interaction, networking, although
Uh-huh.
this group is certainly very, very good at it.
Uh-huh.
That's like the general engineers
right.
that I've worked with and currently work in the company. So the relationship side, the people
Mhm.
side, and then spreading out, getting opportunities to work in the field, getting opportunities to work strategy, work finance. Those different things will all come in really handy if you're going to try to eventually be the right person
Right
for that
person.
role.
Yeah.
Right.
What about business development?
So yeah, the sales side, sales facing side is where you tend to see a lot of CEOs come from, right? They've been working in this, they know the customer, they know what they want, all that kind of thing, and it's more natural for them to want to have the pieces and understanding of the market. So it's like, oh, well, they should be the CEO. They seem to be the right fit for that. So yeah, that's what I would mean. And business development is a great one because it's probably more important than
More
some of the other areas.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's a great answer, I think, right,
Yeah.
Matt?
Absolutely.
So let's move on to lighter questions as we want to ask you. I'm sure you go on vacations with your family, right?
Not a ton lately, but yeah.
Yeah, last 2 years has been.
Well, last 2 years, not a
You
lot.
want the truth of the answer? That sounds good.
No,
we go out to see family a lot.
family a lot.
Yeah.
Where are
I
family?
was from Alberta.
Oh,
So,
Alberta.
Yeah, I have family kind of sprinkled around, but my in-laws are up in Edmonton. So,
Edmonton.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
yeah.
So I work for Bar Engineering.
Okay.
You must know Bar Engineering.
Yeah.
So they have an office in Alberta, Canada.
Yep.
So I've been there once and it was super, super cold.
Usually it is.
It's huge.
But
But
it's get hot, but for
Typical.
like 1 month.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
lights off. Yeah.
And beautiful part of the country, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful part of the country.
Yeah, well, Edmonton, it's pretty flat, a lot of oil. She grew up in Calgary. That's a lot nicer. It's 90 minutes from the mountains.
Right,
that
right,
part,
yep.
all that kind of
Banff, yes, yes. The farthest I've been to is North Cascades. We didn't cross the border and go into Vancouver,
Okay,
so we could see Banff and everything. I've been to Vancouver, but I've never gotten a chance to see Banff. But I'll definitely be going back. That's on my bucket list.
yeah.
So for you, beach or mountain?
That's a tough one. Honestly, I like both. I used to snowboard a lot, so I love the mountains. Beach is fairly relaxing though, so if it's a good
Beach
beach.
also.
Yeah, both of them, right?
It's kind of hard to, yeah. I like variety.
Spice of life.
Yeah.
Best way to do it. Best way to do it. So I'm coming back home to Rochester later on this year. Best new restaurant. Where am I going?
Best new restaurant?
Mhm.
Like a bunch of disappeared, but
Well, that's some of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In town, something that's newer. I don't even know what would be
What is your favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
in the area. It depends on what you like.
What do you like?
I like everything. Again, just like the mountains beach thing, right?
TPs if you're going for Irish, right?
Yeah, TP's is
Yep.
great. It's a
Yep.
nice, real experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, Irish pub
Nick
restaurant.
Nick Tahoe's for the original garbage plate.
Yeah,
Oh
actually,
my
Charlie's,
God.
You think Charlie's is better?
Charlie's.
That might be fighting words.
Yeah, their sauce is pretty good.
Okay.
So
All right.
have you tried one?
No, I haven't been to Charlie's
So
in forever.
I've had some guys try it. Stuff.
So
Okay.
Charlie's is Italian steakhouse?
No, it's like
No.
a burger joint.
Oh,
It's,
burger
yeah.
joint. Do they have veggie
All right.
burgers?
You better explain what a garbage plate is to Lucky because I don't think she knows
I
what
don't
one
think
is.
I know.
So it's based, if you've got, the traditional one is mac salad, cold. And then hot home fries, it's the square fries on the other half, massive plate, like typical big takeaway, box. And then on top of that goes typically two cheeseburger patties.
Oh my God.
And then on top of that
Oh, we're not
goes
done yet.
like this spicy meat sauce with like ground beef, usually ground beef base in it. Just dumped on top of the whole thing.
Wow.
Usually onions or something.
Must
like
be
that.
messy to eat it,
A little bit.
Eh. right?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's no worse than spaghetti.
Well, yeah, meatballs and spaghetti. Yeah, yeah. Do they have a veggie burger now or no?
Yeah, there's some who do. There's
Most
some
of them
do.
do have an impossible burger. Yeah, switch out.
Impossible burger.
You
Yes.
can get all kinds of stuff. Many of them do a wide variety
Yeah.
of different meats and all that kind of stuff.
Next time I'm in Rochester,
Rochester. It's the
Rochester, I will
signature
be
dish
going
from
to-
Rochester is a garbage plate.
garbage plate. I may not be ordering garbage plate, but I will be going to Charlie's and ordering something else that I can eat. I'm a
Yeah.
vegetarian.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't eat all the fun stuff. I
Yeah.
eat the boring stuff.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. So let's come back to some serious questions.
Yep.
So one question I want to ask you is like Ideal has been a strong contributor and supporter of DFI.
Yep.
You've been coming to DFI conferences for a long time. So tell us about your experience. What do you like? What does DFI do well? What do you think DFI can do better?
Okay. So what I like is, a large chunk of what you would say the influencers or larger companies and the people you spend time with typically would show up to this.
Okay.
So instead of having to fly around the entire country or even just catching up, honestly, with competitors sometimes. A lot of suppliers end up walking through that kind of thing. That's the part that I like, and you're getting it all done in a couple of days. You're also picking up some of the latest talks, tests, and ideas that have been proven out, but it gets you thinking. So that's another thing that I really enjoy about it.
All right. Okay.
But I think we talked about what can I do better.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So I would say, and
I have a following question. I'll come back, but let's talk about
Okay.
this.
I would say for us, in terms of actually being like a lead generator for our company, we don't get a lot from that in terms of what we put into it, the ROI, I would say, but sales, that kind of thing. So for us, that's not why we come. If we were able to do that, then that would just be that much
Perfect.
more, and I think you would get a lot more people here. So the idea is to drive a lot more engineers, to get more engineers interested in coming here. More of the contractors, that kind of thing. They're all very busy, especially contractors. They always have something going on.
Engineers from the owner side or from the consulting side or both?
So, I mean, both would be good, but it's the people who's designing
The consultants, right? Yeah.
Consultants, yeah.
Interesting. All right.
look at the solution. How can we do that? So trying to attract them gives them a reason to come through here. And, you already do a lot of that,
Right.
but, just doesn't seem like it's quite the trap for some reason that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
that it could be. I think there's a couple other large shows that are more focused on the engineering and less on sort of this group. That probably get a lot more through. But yeah, that's all.
So what do you think the best way to attract them?
Track engineering.
Get them to go more
To
than
like
what,
this,
yeah, more than what we are doing right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I don't know how many are in our company, how good it is compared to industry average or any of those numbers, so maybe it's fantastic. But,
Let's say that.
We'll go with that. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, I mean, what can you provide to them in terms of value that is going to be more valuable than what they're
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah,
right? And that has to be fairly valuable because they're often leaving families or some important project on the table. And you lose kind of a weekend when you know,
Right.
so there has to be a really solid reason for them. And so I'm answering your question with a question.
I know, I know. We have been, the leadership of DFI has been brainstorming on everything that you're talking about, and every year, 2 or 3 times we brainstorm about what more can we do, because
What additional value can we bring to people? Where where are they choosing to go? Why are they choosing to go there?
Yeah.
What can we, what do they want more value? Where do they want that value?
Yeah.
Is it more online content? Is it more in-person content? Is it something else completely? I don't know what.
Yeah.
It's either in person or online, all right? I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's the way
in-person
it's
or
offered,
online,
but
yeah.
okay, just checking.
yeah. And I think online is kind of like conferences going away a little bit now, because people can see each other and hug and have fun and have business going where you meet them, not call and wait and things like that. So
Oh, sure.
yeah, in person, yeah.
Online thing really, you can only do so much.
So yeah. So let's ask you a light question now. If you want to say, I don't know if you were a good student or a bad student. So if you want to say there is a crazy story in your childhood that you want to share, I know there may be a lot of stories, but
I
if
want
you
to share.
no, maybe. But if there is one story that you want to share with us, which is the craziest, go for
From a
it.
student perspective, I wasn't a great student, but I don't have a lot of stories about it either. So,
How was college life for you?
I didn't go to college.
Okay.
I worked pretty much as I was doing school, I also had a business. So at
Okay.
age 13, I was starting a business.
What kind of
Like
business?
landscape type
Oh.
of business. So, all this kind of thing.
He was a CEO from the beginning.
I know, that's what
Right.
I'm thinking right now. That's why I looked at you and I'm like, oh,
I did.
you're
get a
born
lot
to
of-
be a CEO.
Yeah, I got a lot of practical experience with interacting. With people that weren't happy with you, that were, and you learned the basics of how to work with people, bring people, and that kind of thing. And we sold it around age 18, and then I rolled into the family business, which was fairly hands-on, construction, underpinning, mostly the anchoring, the whole piling side of that.
Uh-huh.
And then when we started out manufacturing for the other company, I was the first welder in that company. And then I worked sort of every job, more or less.
As you do it when it's a small company or startup part of it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You got to put on all the hats. You don't have a choice.
Exactly.
Right.
Like jobs got to get done, and there's no one else in the room. Yeah.
I would say though, it's not that I'm uninterested in information and technology. I'm reading books and Audible and all that stuff all the time. I just love information. And I think that's something for students to take in. It's, you've got your classes and your regular studies and you're going, but to continually be interested in learning completely outside of that is really big.
Very important. Yeah. So I think we're coming up to the end of the session. So if we say you just mentioned that you like to listen to a lot of audible books and things like that. So what is one of your favorite audible books before you leave?
There's so many good books. If someone is looking to create a good business, I would say one of the staples would be like Good to Great by Jim Collins. That's an excellent book. That's where you're gonna learn about people first. So that's definitely, that'd be top of mind. There's a lot on more the emotional intelligence side. There's Stephen Covey has some great books.
Yep. Your most inspirational book.
Yeah.
What inspired you the most?
Inspirational. That's
Got him thinking now.
Yeah, I know, right? Just before we are letting him go.
Make a word for it.
I would actually say that the main, what I think is the best book. I just said the name, forgot it.
Good to Great.
Good to Great. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That probably was the most inspirational and that it changed my thinking, but it's hard for me to pick one because I'll see there's so many new ideas and way things are even read in a book that can inspire
Yep.
you
Mhm.
regardless of the
You
size
pick up
of the
different
idea.
things even when you go back and read them a second time or a third time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice,
So-
nice,
Yeah,
nice.
so it's hard for me to pick just one. I have so many more to,
Yeah.
yeah.
So before we let you go, one last question I have to ask you when you're driving around your neighborhood, since you know what landscaping means to you and you have learned how to manage everything,
Yeah.
what is one worst thing homeowners do to ruin their lawn?
I don't know if it's a landscape. Some people put way too many things in their lawn.
Oh, okay.
That's
Too many
up to them.
pink flamingos?
Pink
You know, shiny balls mounted on this and that stuff hanging everywhere and all that kind of thing. But honestly, it doesn't really drive me crazy. They can do whatever they want.
Oh, well, that was a very diplomatic answer. I was hoping for something else, but that's okay. So thank you, Jay. Thank you very much for being here. And it was a pleasure to know you and learn more about it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Check
much.
again.
Yeah, thank you.
Enough now.
Signing off now. Well, we have Chris Woods here. So we're going to call Chris Woods and sign
We're
off
just
on
doing
game
signing off,
day.
so-
Sign off on game day. So Chris,
So
how
how
are
we
you doing today?
Tired. But it's like, it's good tired,
Good tired, yes.
right? It's like,
The finish line's in sight.
13, 14 months of Zoom calls and Teams calls and meetings, and spreadsheets and ideas and follow-up emails and all these
Reviewing art
things,
papers.
reviewing paper, and now we're here. And my very unscientific polling, right? I mean, you get people
Uh-huh.
come by and say, hey, man, this is going pretty good. I haven't had too many people tell me to go to hell, which is good, right?
Oh,
Like, this
yes.
is no good.
Yes.
So, my very unscientific polling suggests that things are going pretty well.
I'd agree with
Yeah.
that. I'd agree
So-
with that. Yep.
I'm happy. I mean, it's, the exhibit hall's been busy, the parallel sessions today, the rooms have been busy. You know, every time I'm in there, it's packed. People are listening to presentations, so.
Oh, amazing.
uh,
Amazing.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah. I've enjoyed being here.
Yep.
Just 2
Absolutely.
days
Yep.
interviewing
How's,
people. Interviewing
how's
people.
the interviews gone this afternoon?
This
Very
afternoon
well.
has been very
Very
well.
well.
We
Yeah.
had
Continued wide range of people, variety of backgrounds and interests. It's been-
and different regions.
And yeah,
different regions.
we've circled the globe, I think, today.
We've circled. the
Right,
globe
what would
today.
that be? That, I mean, that's not, you can't be, geographically narrow, right? You know what I
Geographically
mean?
broad.
Geographically broad.
Yeah, right. So you want to make sure we're not making like the West Coast feel bad because then, you know, something like that, right? We
But it's
gotta-
okay if we did. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
We're not gonna get into that.
Well, we are going to Seattle next year,
are.
so
Yeah,
watch
actually,
what
see,
you
no,
say.
they don't have like one of those buttons that makes me stop
the
talking.
light- the dump-
So we're gonna kind of, you know, leave that out of it. right?
Yeah. So, well, I think we've had a wonderful, time yesterday and today interviewing
Excellent.
people. I think we have interviewed maybe like 12 people or 13 people, I think.
I think we did
Um,
9 just today.
I mean, this
yesterday
isn't
and
nearly as, like, I'm not Jerry DiMaggio sitting down to like close out the segment.
Well-
That was way better last time.
yes,
Now you're just stuck with me, but
but I'm getting my ball tomorrow from Jerry
There you go.
DiMaggio signed. So that's the highlight of this.
all right.
And I think we've had a wonderful time, and I have to thank Sebastian and you for letting me and Tim and Matt run this for you
yeah,
this year.
Look, we very much appreciate you doing it because like at some point, like can't be
It's
in
too
9
much.
places at the same time.
Yeah,
But
or
we'll be back.
We
with
gotta
the-
share the wealth, right?
We'll be
Share
back
the
with
love.
vengeance in
yeah.
Seattle. I think it'll be good.
It's gonna be fantastic.
yes,
Beautiful
yes.
venue.
Yeah.
Right down there near the wharf, the fish market, excuse me. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
All right. Oh,
And it-
by the fish market. There you go.
Yeah, about half mile, not even.
Right by that original Starbucks that I'm still.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's one of my favorite places to go
I'm
to.
45 years old and I've never drank a cup of coffee in my life.
What do you
Don't-
drink
don't
in the
judge,
morning when
don't
you
judge.
wake
But
up?
But you can go in and get a cup of hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, yes.
No, I'm hot chocolates for
You know,
like,
by the way, they have,
you age out of that when you're like 9. So
okay,
I
let's,
guess
let's,
that means I'm still 9 years old.
you know what I should say? Starbucks has a reserve location in Seattle where if you don't want to drink coffee or tea or anything else, you can drink cocktails. You can drink chocolate beer. Are
Right.
you up for it?
now we're
We're
talking
getting
about
closer.
something.
We're getting closer.
Yeah, we're going there then. I'm taking
Yeah,
you
we
there.
need, what we need for next year is we're gonna have to work with management
and get some of those like opaque glasses so that no one actually has any idea what it is we're drinking when we're filming these things like here. So I
Okay.
think we're gonna, because then next year I go back to the
I
great
hear,
place
I
where I
hear
actually have
DFI,
no
I hear
responsibility.
DFI merch mugs.
More
Classics.
Yeah, it make it look like I'm drinking coffee, but in reality, I'm taking scotch to the face while we're sitting here recording stuff. It's gonna be pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So we have come to the end of game day number 2, and this is the end of DFI47 game day.
Thank you
Uh,
for having me
yes.
on.
Yeah,
Glad to
this
help
is great.
folks.
Thank you guys for doing this today.
And thank you for trusting me. And
Absolutely. Yeah, we gotta wrap. You have to go do a session
yes,
share.
yes, I
Right,
know
very good.
412. Thank you,
Alright.
thank you, listeners. And if you have missed some of the sessions and some of the talks, DFI YouTube channel,
That's it.
go back up there. You can watch last year's and you can watch this
You
year's.
definitely watched last year's. Those were really good. But
This year's were better.
This
This
year's
year's
pretty
were better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris.
All right, guys.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
On behalf of DFI, we hope you enjoyed this episode. The views, information and opinions expressed during Deep Foundation Institute's podcasts are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of DFI. DFI does not verify or take responsibility for the accuracy of the information contained, nor does it warrant that the information contained herein is suitable for any general or specific use. The podcast is available for private, non-commercial use only. Editing, modification, or redistribution of this podcast is prohibited.